Welcome to the Hands of Change podcast. Hi, my name is Kurt Harrington. I'm host of the Hands of Change podcast, where we discuss and navigate the complexities of Dupuytren's disease and related fibrotic conditions. From personal stories of resilience to expert insights and new research, the Hands of Change podcast seeks to integrate Dupuytren's information on a common platform encompassing patients, treatment providers, and researchers. Thank you so much for joining the Hands of Change podcast. I'm very excited for you to listen to the episode. Our special guest today is Anna Schurer from the British Dupuytren Society. Anna is a Dupuytren's Ledderhose as well as Adhesive Capsulitis patient, and she is the co-founder and chair of the British Dupuytren Society. In today's episode, Anna shares her personal experience as well as family experiences with Dupuytren's, Ledderhose, and frozen shoulder. She also discusses the long-standing and wonderful work of the British Dupuytren Society, and she shares her insights into advances in Dupuytren's advocacy and potential treatments. I so enjoyed our discussion today and hope you do as well. Thanks for listening. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Anna. It's super great to see you and super great to catch up and talk to you. I really appreciate your time and
my pleasure.
Sharing your story and sharing what you do with the British Dupuytren Society. So if you would, I love to always have our guests start off with just a little bit about themselves so folks know who they're listening to. What can you share about a little bit about Anna?
I was born in the Netherlands, but I've lived in the UK since 1989. I'm a veterinarian by training. I retired about 18 months ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm one of 5 children and the only one unlucky enough to get the Dupuytren gene of my father. And the frozen shoulder gene of my mother.
Oh, your mom. Okay. Dad Dupuytren's mom, frozen shoulder.
Yeah.
And he never had it in his feet or anywhere else? He was hands only?
No, he was hands only.
Okay.
My mother had one nodule in her hand once, but that disappeared when she was on other treatment.
Okay. Wow. And then when did your Dupuytren's first present itself in your life?
When I was 21. I injured my little pinky, then my right pinky. I had a rope burn on it, and a few weeks later I had a nice big lump, which nobody knew what it was.
Right.
And about 8 or 9 years later, my finger started to contract. And it took me, well, first I thought, I'm just going to stretch this. It will be scar tissue. And, which of course didn't work because Dupuytren doesn't respond to that.
No, it just keeps coming.
So when I was finally referred to a hand surgeon, he looked at it and he said, I think this is Dupuytren's. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, wow. Okay. And you're like, no?
No.
Interesting. I was looking for it because my dad has it. And my first symptom, like yours, was a knuckle pad or a node. Mm-hmm. And then they took it off as a cyst. And then I found out later that it was actually a Garrod pad.
Yeah. No, my father developed it after I did. He was in his 70s when he got it.
Oh, okay. I remember you saying he was in his 70s. I wonder how that worked out or whether you had it first or he did. Okay. Wow. And then how have you gone about managing your disease thus far?
I've had surgery twice, once for my pinky and once because I had a knuckle pad and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know then that you could get knuckle pads. And the hand specialist I saw who had my papers from my previous Dupuytren, but he didn't know what it was. So he thought it was a cyst and then they thought it was arthritis and they thought it was a lipoma. So they ended up removing it.
Wow. So interesting. Yeah, I had the exact same experience. They took it off as a cyst and then later learned it was a knuckle pad. It's so interesting how I was speaking to my dad recently and he's 76 and his most recent symptom is a knuckle pad. He's gone hands, feet, knuckle pad, and I was knuckle pad first and then hands and then feet. It's amazing to me how this thing progresses different for everybody. Share a little bit about your personal hobbies and routine tasks, and if you would, how Dupuytren's disease might impact those activities of daily living or things you like to do, if you would.
Well, when I worked as a veterinarian, it was quite awkward now and then. You can imagine with a bendy pinky, it's difficult to operate. And if you start getting knuckle pads, I went for surgical gloves from a size 7 to a size 8.5. which
Incredible.
means that, you can get them over your fingers at 8.5, but then for the rest of your fingers, they're far too wide and it's difficult to feel what you're doing.
Right. Oh my
Having
gosh.
frozen shoulder didn't help either.
And did that impact both shoulders or your dominant
I've
shoulder?
had it twice in both shoulders.
Oh my goodness.
I'm an overachiever.
You are exceeding expectations as always. When did I'm just curious, your progression of nodule to hands to shoulder, was it 5-7 years apart, or when did the different areas?
I had surgery for my pinky in my early 30s.
Okay.
Then I was 47 when I had surgery for the dorsal nodules.
Okay.
And 6 months after that, I got a frozen shoulder.
Wow.
And since then, I've had lots more dorsal nodules and, like I said, frozen shoulder 4 times altogether.
Oh my heavens. And then
recently, my left hand decided to join in the fun with 2 nodules. And my right foot didn't want to be left behind.
Oh my heavens. So your left foot is the only one. Oh my heavens. Well, we share that because I'm both hands and right foot. I don't have any shoulders impacted, at least as of yet. But my left foot is also my last independent nodule-free
Let's keep it that way.
extremity, I guess. Wow. And when did your feet become nodule? Did you see
that was only
nodules?
this year?
Okay, so after your adhesive capsulitis or frozen shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh my heavens. Okay. And I know you mentioned putting on latex gloves and the much bigger size, and as a veterinarian, obviously hard to do surgeries. Did the Dupuytrens play a role in your change in career, or did you continue to practice veterinary medicine? And
it was one of the reasons why I decided that it was time to give up work.
Oh, okay. So sorry. Let's see. How sad, when you think about the current treatment options, because you've had multiple procedures, how satisfied are you with the current available treatment options that we have?
Like most patients, I'm not too happy about being told, let's just wait until it gets really bad, and then we'll try surgery and see how you respond to that. I would love to see some kind of treatment that stops the disease, maybe even reverses it. Probably not a cure, but you want some kind of mitigation.
Right. Yes. And have you had radiation yourself, or?
Not yet. I'm in the process of arranging it. Okay.
Good. I'm glad it's there. I've had it 3 full courses on both hands in different spots, but very targeted each time. And I've had success with it, especially my worst finger is my right hand middle finger, and I had RT first and then a needle aponeurotomy and then RT on it. And I guarantee it'd be way worse if I hadn't tried to attack it early on. So I ask most guests this so far. We often hear in the literature that Dupuytren's is painless or a pain-free disease. What are your thoughts or personal experiences with that, or even from the patients you come across?
I usually tell doctors it doesn't hurt for them, so it's easy for them to put that in the books.
I love it. But, yeah, only for the patients.
Yeah. But at the moment, I've got 2 active nodules in my left hand. One of them is pain-free, and the other one hurts.
Is not, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's amazing the personality.
Even there, Dupuytren does what it wants.
Right. Yeah, my nodules early on were super sensitive and painful. My hands at rest are pretty okay, but doing stuff, they're super neuropathic and sensitive. But my Ledderhose on my right foot has its own personality. A lot of times it's fairly dormant, and then other times it's acutely uncomfortable. Yeah. And it's like, I've tried to do a diary to try and figure out what might make it do its own thing, and it's hard. It's super hard. Are the doctors responsive when you share that it's only painless for them? What's their reaction?
Usually I get a laugh.
Yeah. And you interact with a lot of other patients. Have often do you hear of other patients having pain-like symptoms or even? A lot. Okay, yeah.
A lot.
And then have you had itching in the past at all? Any of your fibromatosis?
No, only after surgery, which I assumed was because the nerve was trapped in the nodule.
Yes, okay. Yes. Yeah, I've had very little itching as well, but I know people mention it a fair bit. But I'm curious about if there's a role around itching when it's progressing. Somebody mentioned And it made sense to me. If you ever used a TENS unit, the sensation I'll get at times, it doesn't itch, but it's almost like a TENS unit, when it feels like things are potentially activating. So have you encountered any difficulties accessing treatment or support services for Dupuytren's in your area?
Well, I'm arranging to go private for radiotherapy because that's not available around here anymore.
Oh, it's
At
all
least
private
not
pay?
on the NHS. In Britain,
Okay.
we have an NHS.
Okay, so that means it's private pay. It's not covered at all?
No.
Okay. Oh.
There's one hospital in the UK that regularly does radiotherapy for Dupuytren.
Okay. Great. Okay.
So,
Let's see. I would love to have you share more with the listeners about the British Dupuytren Society. I know you've had a long-standing tenure with them. How long has it been in existence, and kind of what are the key areas of focus for the society?
we started it in 2011. I actually came across a post on Facebook when I was sat at home with a big bandage on my hand.
Wow.
And it was Wolfgang, who runs the International Dupuytren Society, who decided that it was time for a British one because he was getting a lot of British requests for help.
Okay.
So he'd asked 2 patients who'd approached him in the past, and they put a message on Facebook saying anyone with either a medical background or media training, can you help? So I answered on it, neither, but I'll do what I can.
Perfect. That's wonderful. And then what are your key goals? You guys focus upon patient support and...
Yeah, we don't have resources to say we stimulate research or anything. I mean, we've got a little bit of money now because somebody left us a legacy last year.
Oh,
And that's going
wonderful.
to go towards research.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
But mostly we're online and we just offer patient support via email or on the Facebook group via Twitter.
Great. So how many of them coming in asking about if they might have it and who they might see for treatment and things like that?
Yeah, though most patients get the diagnosis and then approach us and say, what can I do? Why can I not have surgery straight away?
Okay.
If I change my diet, will that cure me?
Right. Can I take a vitamin? Is there yeah.
Yep.
And then, so in the UK, do they have to go to a primary first, and will the primary diagnose Dupuytren's, or they get sent to a secondary? So the
you see
primaries
primary first, and at the moment the primary has to refer you to a musculoskeletal assessment, which usually is a physiotherapist. And then they decide whether you need to see a consultant or whether physiotherapy will be enough to sort the problem out.
Okay. And what does the consultant usually do? Just monitor and provide?
Depends how bad it is.
Okay.
The consultants here will offer operation if the contracture is more than, say, 30 or 40 degrees and it's bothering you.
Okay. And do you see, I've had needle episiotomy twice. Do you see a fasciectomy oftentimes, or a split there like we do in the States, or in terms of...
Standard here tends to be a fasciectomy, so surgery with a nice zigzag scar and lots of stitches.
Okay. So less of a needle episiotomy.
There are more and more surgeons doing that, especially with COVID. A lot of them started doing that because you don't need to have a theater for it. Right. You don't need to have an anesthetist or breathing equipment.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. I was trying to... I don't know if you've ever come across the gentleman that invented it in... I think he's a rheumatologic surgeon in Paris, or at least in France. It's pretty neat. How long have you personally been... Well, you actually started out... You joined it in 2011, addressing Wolfgang's post, which I love. And you've been the chair since 2013, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for all you do. What should patient and family members know about the British Dupuytren Society? Anything else? I know you're web-based and patients come to you for support and advice. You do some awareness generating activities?
We try.
Okay.
We've been to the British Hand Surgeon training days a few times now.
Oh, fantastic.
When they train young wannabe hand surgeons, especially for Dupuytren. We've had a table there in the say, the conference hall.
Okay.
And try and engage as many of them as possible and get rid of as many leaflets and pens as possible.
Perfect. What's the usual response? Have many of them heard of it at that point through their training and residency, or is it new for some
Well,
still?
yeah. I mean, most of them are specializing in hands already. They're either plastic surgeons or orthopedic surgeons and now specializing further in hands.
And I know it, at least in the States, it's one of the most common conditions seen by hand surgeons. Do you know if that's similar?
It will be the same here, yeah.
Yes, okay. And then what about other fibroproliferative conditions? We've talked about your personal experience with shoulder and Ledderhose. Does the society help or include information on those different conditions as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The shoulders is not officially part of the spectrum of diseases, but we've decided that if patients come to us with frozen shoulder problems, we will help them.
Okay.
Because so many Dupuytren or Ledderhose patients get frozen shoulder.
Yes. And then Peyronie's as well, I imagine?
Yeah. Although I must say Peyronie's, it's quite a sensitive subject. So a lot of men might have it, but don't really want to talk about it.
Yes.
Even if you set up a group especially for them. I think if it's a group that's set up by a woman, they're still a bit iffy.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So for frozen shoulder and things like that, they would come to you and then you probably could help navigate some potential referrals or specialists in their areas, things like that?
Yeah, and I offer them the exercises that I was told to do.
Okay. Great. How about, you mentioned Wolfgang and the International Dupuytren Society is how you actually got involved and helped co-found the British Dupuytren Society. How do you interact and work together currently in terms of the British Dupuytren Society and International?
I have quite a lot of contact with Wolfgang and with Charlie Eaton of the Dupuytren Research Group. Now and then I have contact with the Dutch Dupuytren Society. Of course, that helps that I am Dutch, and also admin a Facebook group for Dutch-speaking people for Dupuytren, Ledderhose, and Peyronie's.
Fantastic.
We've had a bit of contact with the Canadian Society, but that's no more than a few emails a year.
There's I think I've seen your announcements around the conference coming up next year.
Yes.
And that's exciting. Can you share anything about that?
It is. It's good. It's exciting. It's something that started in 2010, so just before we started the British Dupuytren Society.
Wow, okay.
And then it was Charlie Eaton and Wolfgang Wach who organized it between them.
Okay.
And it's been done every 5 years. I went to the one in Groningen in 2015.
Fantastic.
The 2020 was supposed to be in Oxford, but something happened that year.
Yes, I've heard. That was all virtual though, right? There were still some sessions I remember seeing. Yes, okay.
Yeah, they were hoping to postpone it, do it later on, but then COVID just wouldn't give on. So
yes, right. That still went really well. I remember watching. I still thought it was really helpful. I watched a lot of the sessions and as many as I could. It was really nicely done. So thank you.
It was good, yeah. So now this year, Wolfgang asked me would I stand in for him because he wanted to take a step back, really. And I'm standing in now. I'm the patient representative on the committee.
Wow. Okay. And it's a multi-day. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Let's shift a little bit. What is your thinking about the treatments you've had and kind of the patients you interact with and unmet needs in general? What would you say are some of the most significant unmet needs as it relates to Dupuytren's disease or Ledderhose?
A lot of patients would like one doctor to look at everything, or maybe not even treat everything, but for a hand surgeon to also mention feet, and for men to mention the Peyronie's.
Yes, a fibromatosis specialist.
Yeah. And of course, you would think a rheumatologist would do that, but it's not really a rheumatological condition. In France, it's rheumatologists who do it. And they're the ones that started another thing. Well, most patients say they would love to have some kind of treatment that can stop it.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
I am with them. What do you see as potential improvements or advances in patient advocacy in terms of getting the word out around Dupuytren's more, countering some of these misinformation I think is in the literature about it being pain-free or some of those things?
Sometimes I think the patients know better than the doctors.
Yes. Yeah, I
Patients
often...
tend to read up and read the more up-to-date information, whereas doctors have learned about it in their training. Well, they think they know it all.
Yes.
But in fact, thoughts have changed about Dupuytren, about the Viking thing.
Right.
There's
Can
a
you
lot
speak a
of
little bit
patients.
more? How have you seen that change in the time you've been with the society in terms of, is it improving, albeit slowly, or is it...
Yeah, and we try every time we come across misinformation somewhere, we'll send emails to the website saying, can you change this? Did you know that your information is out of date?
Yes. Yeah, it's been
But
interesting
there's
that...
still patients who are almost in tears because they come to the doctor with Dupuytren in their hand and the doctor rolls his eyes and says, oh, it's a disease of alcoholics.
Yes. Yes.
And
Which is
that kind of thing just shouldn't happen. Well,
right.
even if someone is an alcoholic, patient shaming is really bad.
Absolutely.
To look at my father, he never drank and he still got Dupuytren's.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. No, I know. I'm still trying. You might know, I've tried to track down that original study that was the root source of the Alcohol
Yeah,
Association.
from
And
1950s.
yeah, and what I need to read it because I have not seen it, full disclosure, but was it not done in a brewery or in patients that worked in and around? What was the inclusion criteria, I guess, on those patients? Do you know offhand?
No, but I've got the article somewhere.
Okay. Yes,
I
I'd love to.
remember it's patients. It was a study in a hospital, and I think a lot of them worked in a brewery.
Okay, that's what. Yeah, I remember hearing that, but I have not seen the manuscript. Yeah, I'd love to see it if you don't mind sending it to me, because I spoke to somebody recently and they mentioned that, and I hadn't heard that incorrect stigma in a while, but it definitely still, unfortunately, seems to live on.
Yeah. Any article you want, let me know, because I've got at the moment over 4,000 on the computer.
Oh my gosh, you're way ahead
I've
of
been
me.
saving up for a while.
That's great. I have a bunch, and then Charlie's been great and sent me a bunch, and then of course I'm always been growing it since for years. But
if you are coming to the Dupuytren conference, let me know, because then I can get a flash drive and put them all on there.
oh, perfect. Yes, we are.
That's what I did the last time I went
Okay.
to the BSSH days. I had a few flash drives with me, and
Okay.
the doctors that were really interested, like there was one
Love
who
it.
came from Ukraine and has
Okay.
come over to the UK to do her training there.
Oh wow. Okay. Wonderful.
So I gave her that. I gave her a flash drive with all the articles.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, we are planning on attending, and some of those things. I also told my wife, I was like, book the date because we love Europe in general. So I was like, and I've never been. It's in Belgium, right?
Yeah.
Which it's ironic. I've never been there, but I love cycling and I love chocolates and I do like beer. So I feel like it's going to be a great.
Oh, you're gonna love Belgium.
I feel like I'll fit right in. Wonderful. Let me see. In your opinion, we talked about this, but what improvements could we make in terms of further raising awareness about Dupuytren's disease among both patients and healthcare professionals?
There's always things you can do. You just got to have the right idea.
Yes.
Like for the last year, I've been doing lots of cross stitches. It's one of my hobbies, cross stitch, and I've been stitching patients' hands, asking patients on the Facebook group, send me a picture of your hands that I can use. And then making a cross stitch of it and sending those around the different hand therapy units and surgeons in the UK.
So wonderful. Wonderful. And do they hang in their office?
So there's 52 patient hands cross stitched.
Oh my gosh. How long does it take you to make one? Do you make one hand or a pair?
I started with a pair. Charlie Eaton got that one.
Oh my god.
But after that, I just did one hand per picture.
Wow. Fantastic.
And I've done 52 pictures altogether.
That's
Took me about a year.
I've seen some of your posts, and they go back to. Do they go to the patient's hand surgeon or just different?
If the patient asks, yes.
Okay.
But if most of the patients don't mind, and there was a lot of American patients who sent me pictures, and of course, apart from sending them to Charlie Eaton, I'm not going to send many to America because we
Right.
are a British Dupuytren society.
Right. Yes, that makes sense. Well, that's
But
wonderful.
I know one of them ended up in Sweden, one of them ended up in New Zealand, and I think the Ukrainian trainee surgeon took one as well.
Oh, fantastic! Oh,
So-
wonderful.
And for me, that's just a way of sending people something that is not going to end up in the bin, because you give them a pen. You can have a logo on the pen, but the pen runs out and gets in the bin.
Yes.
You send them a pile of leaflets, and
It go a lot.
after a few weeks, 50 leaflets will have gone.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's super thoughtful, and I think it's emotional, and it's obviously, I'm sure it takes a lot of time to make those, and then it's really nice. It's a nice kind of constant reminder in the offices around Dupuytren's and the personal impact it has on people. So, well, thank you so much, Anna. I greatly appreciate it. I think it's going to be helpful for everyone, especially those in the States that might have less interaction with the Britishan group. And I think having understanding about how the groups correlate, and it's wonderful. So thanks for all you've done for the past decade plus with the British Dupuytren Society and helping patients. Thank you so much.
Thanks again for listening to today's show, and special thanks to our show's sponsor, Vontu Biosciences. Should you have additional questions, topics, or show ideas, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'll do our best to make sure we get them on a future show. Thank you, and thanks for listening.